मुशीर कौमी सलामती मोईद यूसुफ तकरीब से खिताब कर रहे हैं, आपको लिए चलेंगे।
To a point where you can redistribute it adequately to everyone. But the ultimate goal of national security, as we look at it, is to ensure that the most disempowered Pakistani citizen has a means to livelihood and personal safety and security. That is the ultimate objective of national security. So Prime Minister often talks about Riyasat-e-Madina. I mean, that's one connotation. What is the conversation in the national security domain? It is basically that the poorest, most disempowered Pakistani family is also able to be safe and secure and have a means to livelihood. And the supposition, of course, is that if that is there, then everybody above them will, of course, be getting more of their share in terms of safety, security and livelihood. So that's the approach we're taking. Now the next question you can ask is, how do we get there? On paper this is okay, but then what are we doing to achieve it? So I hope all of you have heard one way or another, all of our leadership regularly talk about Pakistan's shift from a geopolitical to a geo-economic paradigm, which is actually a transformation in terms of the thinking. For 70 years we've talked about our location as being our most important strategic dividend. Every time we talk about it, crossroads of South Asia, Central Asia. But if you think about it, in the past, the location has actually brought us global wars, proxy staging ground. Afghanistan is a very good example for the past 40 years. What we are looking at is how do we utilize our location as a geo-economic location, which has three pillars. Number one is connectivity. Given our location, if we can use where we sit to connect south from north, westward and east theoretically, then you optimize the use of your location. So in terms of policy, you may have noticed a very strong shift towards Central Asia. That has been an area that has been closed for a long time. But you've seen, I think, 2 or 3 or 4 major visits, including just last week by the Prime Minister. Because Central Asia connected through Afghanistan down to our warm waters is by far the most economical route for Central Asia, gives Afghanistan a lot of transit fees, and of course Pakistan benefits tremendously. And that's why the Gwadar port becomes central. Second is CPEC. That's the north-south corridor. Again, the idea is basically connecting China down to the warm waters for their global trade. And Pakistan becomes the transit territory. Too much is said about CPEC and strategic project and this project and that project. Basically, if you understand the overall umbrella, the vision, it's very clear what CPEC is trying to achieve, which is more infrastructure, more energy and transit through Pakistan. That's essentially what it is. And then theoretically, we can also extend connectivity eastward. Unfortunately, that flank is closed because of the kind of government attitude, behavior and trajectory that India has. The current mindset of this government, the Hindutva ideology, etc., there's very little rational conversation that's possible. But truly, a regional threat in the way that India is behaving and has a conflict with every single neighbor. But anyways, we'll leave that for another day. The Afghanistan piece is central to this, because unless Afghanistan is stable, how do you get a corridor of connectivity from Central Asia down to our warm waters? And unless Afghanistan is stable, how do you actually extend the connectivity that Pakistan has through road, through infrastructure, through energy to Afghanistan? And so that's why in our sort of national security vision and this third element of peace, Afghanistan is critical. And I will come back to this. But just let me complete the thought of national security. So this is the economic security paradigm. The second part of this, which is human welfare, you have seen everything from social safety nets to cash transfer programs, SRs, tons of conversation. And I'll be honest with you, one of the reasons we've survived COVID without a negative economy, in fact a growth economy, is because of this sort of welfare orientation of the current government and the Prime Minister. So it's very, very serious about this Riyasat-e-Madina concept. People, say all sorts of things. It's real. You can call it whatever you want, but the idea is this welfare orientation, a redistribution towards the poorest Pakistanis. And the third element, of course, is military security. And I just want to make a very simple point here. For too long, this conversation has gone on, Pakistan spends this much or that much or whatever. Please name one other country to me which lives in a neighborhood where you've got a 7 times larger neighbor with the history that we've had with India, that lives with a neighbor that has been in turmoil for 40 years, non-stop, where approximately 4 million refugees are still in Pakistan, where we've had to deal with terrorism. There's so much talk about the last 20 years. And mind you, I have to tell you, the partnership with the US has been a two-way partnership and a very good one over the years. Pakistan has benefited tremendously, the US has benefited tremendously, but there is a question that comes to the mind of the average person.